Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on Our News, the National Security Minister proposes tracking dangerous criminals for up to 10 years. A 9th grade student stabbed. The country making strides in the COVID fight, but officials warn a 4th wave is still possible. And from police commissioner to high commissioner, a closer look at Ellison Greenslade's newest role. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jillian Gray. Topping news tonight, Minister of National Security Wayne Munro says while it appears that a sex offenders register could be introduced soon, he does not believe it will be very effective in preventing sexual assault. Munro says he believes a more helpful step would be to allow for dangerous criminals, including sex offenders, to be tracked for up to 10 years after being released from prison.
I am much more persuaded that a recommendation by the Parole and Reentry Committee 2016 is more useful, and that is a proposal that any dangerous criminal will be subject to being tracked and conditions after they're released from prison. So if you are a sexual predator, when you're released from prison, we will monitor you electronically for up to 10 years after you get out of prison. To my mind, that is more useful.
Munro said the sex offenders register appears to be ready to be rolled out.
Saw that an appointed day notice had been signed by the Attorney General some years ago. I'm not certain that he is the proper minister to sign it. I'm asking the Attorney General for an opinion on that. But I'm going to be briefed on this on Thursday. My understanding is that the software is here and available, that there is, I think, at least one person that it was being tracked to test the system, and I will find out on Thursday why it has not been fully deployed already.
Munro's comments follow the assault and subsequent death of 4-year-old Bella Walker. The incident has sparked widespread outrage and prompted calls for more to be done to protect children.
While I hear all of the talk about a sex offenders register, I would question its efficacy. We live on an island 21/7. It'll take you exactly 45 minutes to get from one end of the island to the other end of the island, so I'm not sure what value there is on knowing who is on the 21/7. But if it may prevent one offense, we're going to follow through with it.
Meantime, a 9th grade student is in hospital after he was reportedly stabbed at school around noon today. Police say when they got to the school, they were informed that 2 male students got into a physical altercation when one of the boys pulled out a knife and stabbed the other in the chest. He was transported to hospital where he is said to be in critical but stable condition. Though COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations are on the decline, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, says the government is moving forward cautiously and preparing for the possibility of a 4th wave. Jasmine Brown reports.
Both the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Health and Wellness insist now is not the time to pat themselves on the back, as they say the pandemic always proves to be unpredictable.
We need to be able to manage COVID and manage the economy. And I think thus far we're doing a relatively good job. But with that being said, we cannot take things for granted. There's always the possibility of a 4th wave around the corner. And then my job as the Minister of Health and Wellness is to ensure that we prepare the country for the possibility of a 4th wave.
In recent weeks, new COVID cases and hospitalizations have been significantly lower. Test positivity rates have also fallen significantly in recent days, with the state of emergency set to come to an end on Saturday to be replaced by new legislation to manage the pandemic. Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper says government is hesitant to lift COVID rules quickly in anticipation of future surges. He adds they will move forward in a measured and consultative way.
The mission is not complete, let me concede that. There's also the possibility of new strains. But what we have been doing is working. We will continue to be very measured in our approach. We're moving towards the new normal. We're putting in place new health and safety rules, as you've seen presented. We don't want to be too gung-ho in lifting all of the rules too fast. Because we don't want to see a surge.
The health minister also addressed concerns about unregulated rapid antigen tests that were reportedly shipped to the Bahamas. Darville says work is underway to locate substandard COVID tests in the Bahamas after the Jamaica Observer reported earlier this week that the Bahamas and Jamaica were among 2 Caribbean countries where the tests were being used.
Those tests that were defective, I think they were from India. They were not the Abbott tests. I think it's I can't remember the name of the test, but they are one of the tests that are approved by our national lab. We're aware of it. We have notified all of the various labs, and to our understanding, some of those particular tests were located, but we are still investigating to ensure that they are not a part of creating an effect on our database to know where we are with COVID.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Despite insisting that the U.S. vaccination travel policy is good for the Bahamas, Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper says the government has no plans to introduce similar travel requirements for visitors. The Bahamas currently requires all cruise ship passengers 12 years and older to be fully vaccinated, but the same does not apply to visitors who come by plane.
That is not a consideration at this time. We have the protocols in terms of testing we already have in place. We're very comfortable with the protocols we have now.
The new U.S. policy, which requires international travelers to be fully vaccinated, took effect on Monday.
That has been positive for our country. Firstly, as a result of it coming and Bahamians being aware that it was coming, we saw an uptick in terms of vaccinations. So many persons who were hesitant ordinarily who like to travel to Florida considered it as a last-ditch effort to get vaccinated to be able to travel to Florida. I am delighted that people consider it as positive for their health, in addition to giving them the latitude to be able to travel freely.
While the F&M MP for St. Anne's hitting back at the Attorney General, who revealed on Monday that the Minnis administration spent $1.1 million on the failed prosecutions of 2 former politicians. Berthany McDermott reports.
Opposition Shadow Minister for Legal Affairs Adrian White slamming the decision by Attorney General Ryan Pinder to detail legal costs associated with the failed cases against a former PLP cabinet minister and a former senator. He called it a regrettable blunder that hit below the belt.
To say that it was blatant political prosecution is extremely unfortunate, and another instance of them putting their foot in their mouth coming out of the gate.
During his contribution in the Senate Monday, Pinder said the Minnis administration spent $1.1 million on the failed prosecutions of former cabinet minister Shane Gibson and former PLP senator Frank Smith. He said the amount represented nearly 1/3 of legal fees paid in the last term to foreign law firms.
It wasn't one where, as the Honourable Senator would have us infer, there was some type of effort to prosecute persons involved in politics on the other side of the political aisle.
While in opposition, PLP leader Philip Davis repeatedly called on the Minnis administration to say how much it was paying foreign attorneys to help prosecute cases against the prominent PLP members. The Attorney General was also asked how much the British attorneys had cost taxpayers, but he wouldn't say.
To call out those particular details of those 2 cases as opposed to any other was clear evidence that there was something about those cases that he had an issue with. And as the Attorney General for this current government, he's not on the political rally stage anymore.
Smith and Gibson were both acquitted of all charges, while Environment Minister Kenred Dorset has yet to go on trial. The PLP has maintained the former government was on a political witch hunt, a claim members of the Minnis administration denied. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
A sunny day in the capital. Greg Thompson is in studio with the first look at weather.
Thanks, Jillian, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather on this beautiful Tuesday evening outside our studios. Temperatures right now in the upper 70s, 77. Few clouds, we'll call it mild. Your winds are out of the northeast at 7 knots. We will continue to see those winds fall off on your feels-like temperature near the 80-degree mark. Satellite view, high pressure remains in charge of the weather crossers. Blue skies mostly across the northwest and central Bahamas. Frontal boundary hanging out near the southeast Bahamas could produce a few isolated showers tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. Still to come, the Bahamas High Commissioner opens up about life in London and no decision yet on a holiday carnival. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
From police commissioner to high commissioner, Ellison Greenslade has made public service his life's work. Though his latest role has taken him far away from home, the Bahamas High Commissioner to the UK says he is thoroughly enjoying the significant work. He sat down with Vonnie Toot in this edition of A Closer Look.
This report is brought to you by EY, building a better working world. Since the age of 18, Ellison Greenslade has risen up the ranks of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, ascending to the top post of police commissioner. However, in 2017, he traded in his khakis for a suit and tie, serving as the Bahamas High Commissioner to the UK.
I did my work in the law enforcement arena, but this was different. And once I arrived and entered this domain, there was a steep learning curve, very steep learning curve. So you have to apply yourself, lots of reading, asking lots of questions, being alert, and networking. Because again, out here, you're the face of your country.
Greenslade was all smiles as he greeted us at Bahamas House, which is home to the Bahamas High Commission and the Ministry of Tourism.
Hey, great.
Located in London's upscale Mayfair district, this building has belonged to the Bahamas government since 1987. However, there are touches of the newest Bahamas High Commissioner in parts of this space. Though the transition from police commissioner to high commissioner wasn't easy, he has come into his own.
Walk us through a day in your life here in London.
Oh, geez, it could be any number of things. Courtesy calls, anyone. It could be an investor, it could be a potential investor, it could be a member of the public, Bahamians passing through one. And then, of course, you'd get a ring that says, right, an ambassador or high commissioner in this part of the world would like to have a bilateral.
I asked the High Commissioner what has been a highlight since taking on this new role.
We had the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting here, and I was privileged to sit in the opening ceremony in the presence of Her Majesty the Queen. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
20 staffers report to work at Bahamas House. That number was higher before the COVID-19 pandemic, which Greenslade described as a difficult period.
We were under total lockdown conditions much early on than the Bahamas. And then we had to deal with a lot of distressed Bahamians across Europe and in the United Kingdom, various places in the United Kingdom, who just could not return to the Bahamas. And we had to find ways to assist them.
The pandemic and subsequent travel restrictions also meant Greenslade has visited the Bahamas just once for 9 days since his appointment in 2017. He explained you must serve in the post for 18 months before you're entitled to home leave. After that, COVID struck.
Do you ever get homesick?
I miss my family, I miss my children.
Though he started a new chapter in his life, the former police chief still looks back fondly on his time on the force.
From the tender age of just barely 18, joining the police department, that has been my life, and I left it all out there. Not asking for any particular credit or any particular handout, but I'll tell you from where I sit, I sleep on a very comfortable pillow because I gave my heart to the people of the country that I love.
He called the police force the University of Life, adding he attended every day and he paid attention to the lessons.
So that was my life. That's not something that you just get over. But I'll tell you, your train gets to the station and you have to know when it arrives and you have to get off. And when you get off that train, it carries on. You don't do anything to denigrate something that you love. And so all I have to say about the department is positive. Current commissioner, former and commissioners that will come after, other senior ranks that are being, I'm happy for all of them. But I don't run interference. They won't hear from me because I don't want to run that interference. But I'm here, and if I'm ever needed, I'm more than willing to listen and more than willing to add my support.
Reporting for our news, I'm Vonik Tood.
The government has not yet made a decision on the return of the holiday carnival this Christmas, according to Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Darville, who revealed carnival organizers have submitted an application, noting the popular attraction would attract large crowds. He said the ministry has to look hard at if a holiday carnival is even feasible.
We are aware that the carnival has made a request to come into the country. We in the Ministry of Health need to look at whether or not it's feasible at this particular time and where we are with the pandemic.
There has been speculation over the return of the Christmas carnival, which did not happen last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. When our news returns, music lovers get a legendary taste of the SLS, and two Bahamian superstars face off on the court. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. One night, 10 culinary experiences. Baha Mar marked the return of Taste of SLS over the weekend with a special performance by Grammy Award-winning artist John Legend and exotic dishes cooked up by some of the restaurant world's biggest brands. Vonik Tood takes a look.
Very happy.
From sea bass ceviche to short rib ravioli, it was a foodie feast on Friday as Baha Mar unleashed an unforgettable taste of SLS.
This is the short rib arancini, peas and rice, and
you got peas and rice in a bowl.
In the bowl, yeah. Put it in a bowl, and the pipette has steamed gravy, just as you would have on a Sunday.
Nice.
And underneath is some more steamed gravy with your peppers, onions, sweet pepper.
Baha Mar brought out all of its brands, including Katsuya, Karner, and Filia for the big event, while incorporating a few elevated Bahamian favorites.
We did a play on the local spiny lobster and the gunk. We married them together in a salad. And then we tie it in with a lot of tropical fruits, papaya, oranges, limes, lemons, passion fruit. So we toss all of that together, olive oil, to give a play off of what is conch salad with a twist.
Over at the Filia station, the executive chef offered an honest Italian experience, serving up small bites with a big flavor.
Simple ingredients, even people can make it at home, but kind of elevated, so it matches the standard of SLS. We're gonna have a traditional recipe, which is the octopus with very traditional dressing around it, the gremolata, the giardiniera, and some pickled pearl onions.
But the sensory overload didn't end with a taste of SLS. Guests mix and mingle to the sounds of pulsating music, making for a picture-perfect experience. And capping off this night to remember, a legendary performance by John Legend. Reporting for our news, I'm Vonik Tood.
Buddy Hield getting the better of fellow Bahamian DeAndre Ayton during NBA action. Marcellus Hall has that and more in tonight's sports.
And welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. If you haven't gotten yourself the NBA League Pass just yet, you may want to sign up because the action is starting to heat up quite a bit. You can do that if you have the Rev Trio. You can get that free of charge, or you can just sign up and make sure you don't miss all the action as it happens. So, what you did miss last night, if you don't have it, is Buddy Hield and DeAndre Ayton stepping back on the court against each other last night, kind of, sort of. Their teams played each other. Both players did not, however, get into the game. We'll tell you details right now. Second meeting of the year between DeAndre Ayton and Buddy Hield as the Suns traveled to face the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. Last time up, It was Sacramento getting the win. This time, turn up the tables just a bit. Phoenix holds on down the stretch. 109-104 ends up being your final score as Cameron Payne had a season-high 24 points in 22 minutes off the bench. That helped the way for the Phoenix Suns to pick up the win here. How about our guys? As far as Buddy's concerned, coming off the bench as he usually does, had a pretty productive evening, played 30 minutes, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He also had a blocked shot in the contest. It would come, like we said, in losing cause. As for DeAndre, a DNP on the night, nursing a sore left knee, out for the evening, is expected to be back real soon. Actually, a right lower leg contusion is what they're calling it. DeAndre is expected to be back in the lineup as soon as possible, hoping to get him back in short order. Meanwhile, to the NFL, where Monday Night Football, rounding out Week 9 of the NFL season, NFC North battle between the Chicago Bears as they took on their NFC North rivals in a pretty good matchup here. One of the better games of the year, 29-27 ends up being the final score. Steelers do hold on for the victory here to round out the week. They're looking forward to seeing how things shape up as the season progresses. But a good solid win there for the Steelers as they improve their season now to 5-3, still solidly in second place in that AFC North. The Bears fall to 3-6. They're third in the NFC North, so things not looking good for them necessarily. They do have some time, but the season is kind of growing short. They're at the midway point. And there it is. You look at sports for you here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Dogs on Grand Bahama rescued from a canal. The details after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Possible thunderstorms ahead this week. Greg is back in studio with the extended forecast.
Thanks again, Gillian, and welcome back everybody for your second look at weather on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Ridge of high pressure remains the dominant weather feature across our area. That's going to continue to generate some northeast to easterly wind flow across us. Little breezy across the islands, but we do have that weakening frontal boundary near the southeast Bahamas. Expect to continue to weaken as it shifts towards the south. Frontal system taking shape across the central portions of the United States. That is the next system we expect to get in here by the end of the week. Some showers and thunderstorms associated with that. Slight cool down expected for the weekend, but all in all, we should be very nice for the next couple of days. The tropics quiet, and tropical cyclone formation is not expected during the next 5 days. Beaching and boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight to tomorrow. Caution flag posted for some swells out there. Northeast to east winds 15 knots. Seas up to 8 feet in those swells in the southeast Bahamas. Basically a lighter wind flow, but those swells will be up to 6 feet, mainly along eastern shorelines. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody. Back to you, Gillian.
Well, a few good Samaritans and a bit of luck led to the rescue of 2 dogs on the Grand Bahama Waterway on Grand Bahama recently. Christina Dragovich has that.
Hey, little buddy. You okay? I know you've just had a really long day. So I just pulled this dog out of the water. I don't know where he got free from, but she's been adrift for a hot minute. She's exhausted, a little cold, but hopefully going home soon.
Joe Oliver was working on the company boat when he got a notification that a dog was spotted in a canal, unable to get out. Oliver works as Director of Restoration Operations for Coral Vita. He says it was just a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
Either she's going to have an even worse day, or I might get bit, but this is happening. So, and, you know, she approached the rear of the boat, put her paws up on the outboard while I had it in neutral, and I was able to kind of haul her up and into the boat.
When he arrived, members of the Humane Society of Grand Bahama had rescued 1 dog, but he spotted another one in distress.
It was just a matter of, like, grabbed the collar and a back leg and just kind of all at once up and into the transom well here, and then spent the rest of the ride in the transom well, which was probably more comfortable, but at least getting a little bit of exhaust heat off of the engine after spending however long swimming around in the water.
The dogs were taken to the Humane Society, cleaned up and fed. They had collars but no tags. Executive Director Elizabeth Tip Burrows says, unfortunately, this isn't the first time something like this has happened.
It's not uncommon, unfortunately, to have dogs fall in these canals. The canals are very deep and the sides are built in such a way that there's not very many places that an animal can get out. Actually, there's not a lot of places a human could get out easily. So that all too commonly happens.
So Burrows says the best advice is to make sure animals are secure and safe during bad weather.
I always say we wouldn't want to be outside in that weather, so why would we leave our poor dogs outside in it?
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jillian Gray. Do have a great evening.